One Thomas beach ball, and oh no! Oh, it slammed to the side there! This Thomas here, it's in all sorts of trouble. Oh, it's going to be another hit! Oh, a beautiful hit there as well. Well, hi there, welcome to Thomas and Friends Dark Side, episode 16. In previous Dark Side videos, I've showed you knockoff playsets like this. They have the Thomas and Friends cloud there, but when you start seeing that, I think most people get alarm bells. You're dealing with a knockoff. Often on the back of the box, you'll say to yourself, well, it doesn't look like the current Thomas toys, and what is a little bit unusual is this one actually came in a variety of styles. I ended up finding the style that was missing. That's the one with the happy tender there. I do like variation in my weird collections. These are far too easy to find, and Mattel have got to come to Australia and sort this out. I'm not sorting it out for them. I also found these strange ones like this, and I think most people would pick that off as a knockoff toy. One of the most strange Thomas and Friends knockoff toys, this one here. But really, I'm just showing you boxing because it'll get to the point of the video very soon. I'll wave that one. Also, toys like this, again, I think most people would spot this as a knockoff. It's elaborate artwork. It's all about the illusion of the box, isn't it? And also, little children see that and they see Thomas and they want to have Thomas. The one inside this one is actually the green variation. That's the one I really like. I like variation. But the most sinister knockoff toy that I've come across, it's these two here. I've actually had my son play with these inside because I wanted to see how he reacted to these. Take a very close look at the boxing there. Also reading it. Okay, there is the back of the box. Now, what does that remind you of? It's just like the way Thomas does their boxing, isn't it? This set as well. Okay, this is the new standard, or the new high standard I've seen in the knockoff boxing. And the back looks like that. It's these two sets here is what this video is going to be all about. Okay, this is the first set I'm going to set up and show you. I want you to really look carefully at this and how well the box is set up. About the only clue I've seen is it says do there. I dare say that's like Chinese for choo choo. I'm not seeing the strange Chinglish reads on these boxes. In fact, it reads out fairly well. And the Thomas and Friends artwork also looks just like the way Thomas and Friends do theirs. It looks like a toy manufacturer's name, Lee Zan D Toys. And really, the whole thing plays out quite remarkably well. Showing you a figure eight there for crisscross in the middle. Down the side of the box, there's the instructions about the little engine there and where to put the batteries. On the back of the box is that very peculiar artwork that's just like Thomas and Friends. And on the top of the box, you'll see that it cost me $15. And to look at the bottom of the box, which sometimes will give you some major clues if you're dealing with a knockoff, it's got that read there. You can pause the video and read it fully if you want to. But to be honest here, it plays out fairly well. Yes, to trained eyes, they'll pick it as a knockoff, but to a lot of people, they're going to see that as a legitimate Thomas toy. Let me just quickly bring in a real Thomas toy so I can show you how the deception's working. This is a real Trackmaster set from quite a few years back now. And if I get back a bit, you'll sort of see the way they've mimicked the whole look. The red's in the same sort of spot, the blue across the bottom there, it's a different, slightly different shade. But I think it's when you turn the boxes around, and the way they've set up a child with a playset is what Thomas and Friends toys often did, and that's a classic example of what I used to see. Yes, yeah, you do laugh. I dare say Mattel aren't laughing because it's Mattel who's losing in this. Let me just get rid of that. And let me unbox this. Like I said, my son has already played with this, and I learned a lot from the way he played with this toy. Okay, let's talk about the track system. It's an unusual track system. It reminds me most of Trackmaster 2. Let me bring in a curve of Trackmaster 2 there. It doesn't connect to Trackmaster 2, but it does have symboling like Trackmaster 2 does with C on that, and the straight pieces have S. Okay, I watched my son put this playset together and he had no trouble at all. Okay, it's, well, how would I say it? It feels a little bit cheap in the hand, but it doesn't break easily. It's nice and flexible. I dare say the main feature in this playset is this crisscross section. I think Trackmaster 2 did a section like that. Although I haven't got one neat to hand to show you. But what is lacking in this playset, like all these types of playsets, is straights. The only bits of straight you get, well, really, are in my hand there. It's really not enough. Yeah, I've seen worse, I've seen better, but this is what I call sort of the in-between middle sort of track for knockoff stuff. The rolling stock in this playset is most unusual, more so for the fact that the boulder has turned into a beach ball. My son called it Thomas Goes to the Beach. Okay, so that's the way children see this. It's plastic fantastic. There's nothing really special going on here. I can't just extract. Yes, I can. There you go. You can pull those out straight down the child's throat. The child is dead. That's why these are killer toys. I'm having trouble putting that back in. At least it's making a snap sound. The coupling system, it's like Trackmaster 2. In fact, if I'd say what is this closest to and reminding me of, it's a Trackmaster 2 wagon, although the Trackmaster 2 wagon is made to a standard where bits just don't come off. You can't pick bits off this. That's why you buy the good toys. Okay, it's more detailed as well. It's, you know, nicer all over than that there. Okay, so that's the wagon, and of course, that's the beach ball. Okay, taking a look at this, Thomas, here, I think this is the sort of worrying aspect. That initially, when you look at this, it doesn't look too bad at all. In fact, it doesn't feel too bad in the hands. The way it feels in my hands is quite similar to a real Thomas toy. I won't turn it on and off yet. You'll see for the reason, or hear the reason why soon. The face looks like that. Now, to me, that's a pretty good knockoff Thomas face. Let me hear what you have to say about that. I mean, I've seen far worse. It's one of the best that I've seen. It does have a traction tie here, and it feels pretty good. You know, we're missing a wheel here, but hey, details like that are missing on the real Thomas toys. The front wheel and axle don't feel that nice. There's a big speaker in there. There's a great big horrible light here, and if I turn it on now, because we have played with this, you start to hear the horrors. Okay, it actually has a tune as well. There's a tune. Okay, but if we open it up, to my surprise, it is actually taking AAA batteries in there, in a sense very much like Trackmaster 2 Thomas's. And the layout of this Thomas is very different as well. Let me just unclip this further so we can see what's laying inside here. I got quite a few of these sets. It's a bit of a story to my shopping day when I found these. I found this shop that was just this amazing place full of new knockoff toys. It was like the honeypot of new stuff. Quite amazing. A lot of the things that I thought weren't around, I finally found them. And they're even giving away movies, like knockoff DVDs of the movies that the toys were related to. Quite amazing. Highly illegal, but quite amazing. Okay. Oh yeah. That is very different, isn't it? Hey, the electronics fans can ID what's going on there. I dare say this is a sound chip thing here. Okay. Yeah, so it must have been, just looking at the way the power came down, it's just like Trackmaster 2. It's a sandwich job. Very simple. The wiring there would be just the speakers and the LED, but the way the power to the motor and everything goes, it's just that sandwich job just like Trackmaster 2. In fact, that is very similar. When you look at the way this is set up, that's very similar to Trackmaster 2. But the one thing that's missing here is the safety clutch. If I turn that, look at that, it just locks up there. What will happen there is that one of these will strip off the drives. And the thing is, why they have the safety clutch here is it stops hair entanglement and things. That's why, you know, the real toys are safe. Okay, soon enough of that. Let me close this up if I remember how it goes together. Yes, one of the conspiracy theories I've seen in comments on my videos is that Mattel looked at the knockoff toys to redesign the toys to Trackmaster 2. You know, those conspiracy theories might be totally correct. Just make sure it still works. Oh yeah. Okay, yeah, it's nice and simple, but it's not as clean and simple as the real Trackmaster 2 Thomas. Yes, it's a bit of a classy knockoff, but I can do one thing to this Thomas toy that's going to really declass it for you. Look at this one here. And I can tell you what, the real Thomas toys won't do this. Some of you may be very impressed by this, but this is where I can say, welcome to the dark side. Look at that there. Thomas's face just pulls off. That's the problem with these styles of toys, because the face there can so easily be ingested by a young child. He probably think, oh, look, I can have a nibble on Thomas's face. But sadly, that could be a death sentence, and that's why these toys are all so dangerous. So there is our knockoff Thomas, and while we're thinking of Trackmaster 2 Thomas, there is a comparison of size. If I line up the backs, that's how different those two are. You can see the knockoff, well, it's a little bit taller, but it's also a little bit shorter. Yeah, so it's a pretty classy knockoff, isn't it? I've seen a lot of knockoff Thomas toys, and this one is trying really hard. It's probably the best way I could say it. The other thing about the set being $15 it's not far off the price of if you go and buy an individual Thomas toy, and I think you get a wagon with it. In Australia, that's around about, well, it's a little bit more than $15, best way to say it. Okay, so you can see I've built the playset up. Very simple to build, very simple to turn it on. Let's give Thomas a run. Go, Thomas, go! Show us your glory. Yes, it's one of those ones where I think the sound chip would end up doing your head in. Yes, sort of a very simple playset, but sometimes the simplest things are often the best. I call them Guinness sets because you sort of set them up and just watch them go round and round. As for scope of doing other things with this set, I don't think there is much scope, apart from annoying your mum with the sound chip. And I'm sure that's always going to happen. Well, I think I've certainly seen enough of that and heard enough of that. Let me just turn Thomas off, and we will come in and we will make up this other playset. This playset was also $15. It is actually a little bit more elaborate. Once again, my son has already had a play with this. As again, the boxing, very deceptive, isn't it? It's a different sort of track plan. Let me get this out of the box, and we'll have a bit of a play. This other playset is actually fairly different. You get a bridge piece like this. Of course, you get Thomas, and I think it's identical to the other set. You also get Annie. Hey, how about that, eh? There's no face on any, just details on the side, and it has you thinking, where have we seen something like that before? And we'll go there very shortly. We get 2 points. That's nice, isn't it? And I did watch my son play with this, and I didn't see the trains jumping around, and you also get a nice little windmill piece. Okay, here is the Annie piece, and I'll have to say that this looks fairly respectable. Okay, it's not crumbling apart in my hands. I really got to pull at this to get the wheels out. It's not the lowest of the low end of the dark side stuff. I shouldn't praise it too much because remember, this is an illegal and illegitimate toy, but nevertheless it doesn't present too bad. Now what it reminds me most of is this here. Do you remember what that came from? Of course there's no face on the knockoff one. It's sort of similar scale. Underneath looks like this. Okay, this one here, I'm shaking here, is actually a licensed toy, and I found at the markets and we worked out it was actually from Japan. I wouldn't say it's a direct rip or anything, but it's the most similar thing that I've got to it. Let me just show you that set that came from. There's the playset there. I spoke about that quite some time ago on my channel, and it goes down, it looks like that. And I know the next thing people say, well, Leo, compare the Japanese Thomas to the knockoff one. Well, there's the Japanese one there. I do have batteries in there. It has a traction tyre. It has licensing to Thomas and Friends there, 2009. It's not bad at all. It's what I'd say. It's actually very, very different. And I like different. It's you know, every different sort of Thomas is a nice Thomas in my books. But if I line it up to the knockoff there, all of a sudden that knockoff actually starts to look very large. Okay, which sort of surprised me. But the one thing now that I've had this real Thomas in my hand is that the feel of this. I mean, it feels like a nice quality toy. It's nicely detailed. It's ticking a lot of the Thomas boxes, especially the splash of white there. This knockoff Thomas here is one of the better feeling ones I've got in my hand, and that hand feels very hard to translate across in video. I think maybe you can see that this is actually quite a spanking Thomas. Scary when you see them as good as this, isn't it? And it leads to the question about the tracks. I know you'll ask about the tracks. Well, there's that knockoff track, and then there is the gauge of that Japanese one, and that is very different. You know, initially when I first saw that knockoff, I thought it is similar to that Japanese set, but it's actually nothing like it. So hopefully that explains that. Just briefly look at the windmill here. At least it's a little bit of Sodor feel. How often do I talk about that with the real Thomas playsets? It is real sharp on the back here. Very poorly finished off. Welcome to the dark side. Hollow inside. You know, it's sort of, you know, well, I suppose it's just a gesture, isn't it? As a gesture piece, it's not too bad. Let me set that in the middle of the playset that I've just set up. I'll give Thomas a run around the short circuit first. See him going around here. Like I said, these toys have already been played with inside with my son. Then I'll set the points to go to the long circuit. Okay, and Thomas will come along across the bridge. Yeah, doing it fine, doing it dandy, and doing it in style. That is knockoff Thomas style. Now, considering the two knockoff playsets were basically the same money, I think this one plays out as a better little train toy. And for the fact, to me, it's got a bit more of a Sodor feel. And let me just do the inner circle again to prove that the points do work on this knockoff set. Okay, there goes Thomas around the inner circuit there. Oh, he just adjusted the points all by himself. Isn't he a good Thomas? And maybe the real fun will be to set up the other Thomas here, have a double dueling, horrible, knockoff sounding Thomas toys. And there are both of the playsets doing their thing. Sort of weird because the music isn't really synced together and it's playing a nightmare tune inside my head as it's trying to rearrange the music. Yeah, so it paints a picture of what basically $30 in Sydney, Australia will buy you with knockoff toys. Let me just do a bit of a Thomas battle between this Thomas here and that Thomas there, using that part right there. Okay, maybe you can see I've Thomas bashed some parts of one playset into another one here. Hopefully there'll be a bit of a battle on. I don't know how much they're going to push and shove because these aren't that powerful. Anyway, let's get them going. We'll see what happens. Who's going to knock who off is a big challenge here. Call one of these Thomas Annie and the other one Thomas Beach Ball. Whoa! No, that music is just doing my head in to the fact it's sort of syncing up. Go Thomas, go! But one of these passes, it's going to be their last pass. I've personally got my money on Thomas Annie. I don't know why. Oh, it's going to get close. It's going to be close. Ooh, just got through. Oh, it could be this one. It could be this one. No, got through again. Oh, come on. No! I don't know how it missed that one. Thomas Beach Ball nearly clipped Annie, but on the second one round. Oh, it's a stacker. It's a stacker. Oh, no! Thomas Beach Ball is on the edge of the rails here. Thomas Annie has actually crashed. Oh, he's gone to the bridge. He's over. And Thomas Annie's over as well. Thomas Annie was the loser there. And Thomas Beach Ball, I believe, is the winner. I shouldn't say like this, but it's actually fun to do this. This is the best, I think the best fun you have with little trains and things, having little battles. I'll do one more for you, hey? Can't get too excited because these are knockoff toys. Oh, isn't it nice when they're turned off? Doesn't last for long. Go Thomas, go. Ooh, okay, Thomas Beach Ball. We're scooting around there. And we're going to see who's going to win this battle. Oh yeah, that's more like it. That's what I like to see. Oh, Thomas Beach Ball, and it just got through. But this time round, oh no! It's a T-bone there, Thomas T-bone. And I think from seeing that, you can see these haven't got much gusto. If this is another style of Thomas toy, it would have just come along and rammed on through. Let me just turn this off and I'll show you what my son was doing with these toys. Because my son had both playsets inside, he was setting up a train like that, and then we'll see if Thomas can pull it. I know it can because I've already seen it happen like that. And maybe we'll have that Thomas there versus just Thomas playing all by himself. Wonder who's going to win that battle. Call that one Thomas Beach Ball. Oh no! Oh, it slammed to the side there! My goodness me, that was amazing. And look at this Thomas here, it's in all sorts of trouble. Oh, it's going to be another hit! Oh, a beautiful hit there as well. But again, you can see that these Thomases just don't have the punch to come along and really put in a fatal train blow there. And I think maybe that sort of does take away from the fun. Out of sheer curiosity, let me take one of the knockoff Thomases away. Let me introduce the real McCoy. That's a Trackmaster 2 Thomas, and we'll set this Thomas up against this Beach Ball and any Thomas here. What'll happen now? Ooh, yeah. It's going to be quite a curious thing when they come together. Oh my goodness me, it's already happened. And yeah, that Thomas is feeling rather sad. There's going to be another smackdown, although Thomas just failed. Something just pulled him off the rails up there. We didn't see that, did we? Smack her in. You can see that even though Trackmaster 2 hasn't got a nice rail to bite into, it can push along this other knockoff thing with ease. And it's just died there, and it's just come off the tracks as well. That was weird. I actually saw my son playing with that one without any trouble. Maybe it's just me. Goes around making a funny sound. Yeah, it sort of works. Well, it sort of doesn't work as well. Naughty Thomas! Naughty! Get back on the tracks. Well, I think we've seen and heard enough Thomas Nightmare in this video here. As Trackmaster 2 Thomas shows us how miraculous he is. Yeah. Very scary toys indeed, these knockoff ones. I have seen far worse, I can tell you that. But for the fact of the way the playsets play out, yeah, scary, scary indeed. You're a disgrace. Well, sadly I better leave this video here. It's probably far too long for YouTube's stupid algorithm. I'm going to do a little bit of a finale piece here. Have all these 3 trains on the rails here. I'll see who crashes. As always, thanks for watching and bye for now. Oh! And it didn't take long for that to go wrong. And we'll just see how this plays out, eh? I think this Trackmaster 2 is going to come along and smack out this. Pinch point there, yes. Train wreck. Thomas train wreck. Train wreck. Train wreck.